Chamber of Commerce. My name is Mark Landa. I am the Executive Director of the Crookston Chamber, and I'll be the moderator for tonight's event. Joining me is Monica Kustritz from the University of Minnesota Crookston staff, and she's also a member of our Leadership Crookston class this year. She'll be assisting me in moderating this session this evening. Our government in the United States starts with local government entities. Our friends and neighbors step forward to take on the tasks of leading these local entities. They affect our lives on almost a daily basis. So it's important to know something about the people that you are electing. We don't have time to go into depth with our candidates tonight, but this forum should introduce the candidates to you if you don't know them, and hopefully help you gain a few pieces of information about them that will help you inform your decisions on Election Day. Thank you for taking the time to join us for the event.
Tonight, we will be meeting candidates for the Crookston School Board, Crookston City Council, Crookston Mayor, Polk County Commissioner, Minnesota House of Representatives District 1B, and Minnesota Senate District 1. Each of the candidates will get a couple of minutes to introduce themselves. We'll answer 2 questions, and then we'll give a short closing statement. Carrie Bergquist, our Chamber Board President, will be timing the candidates to make sure they stay within the time limits given to them. The candidates will join us on stage in groups by the type of office they are vying for. The goal is to allow you a chance to compare candidates running for the same office or similar office. Hopefully, the way they answer their questions will allow you to decide which candidate you will want to vote for on Election Day.
So we'll start with candidates for the Crookston School Board. We have 5 candidates running for 3 open spots on the school board. Candidates are Patty Dillabaugh, Tim Dufault, Mary Gossi, Marianne Isaacs, and Marcia Miney. And please excuse me if I butcher any names this evening. Please join us on stage and we will get started. And it looks like we're missing one of our candidates, so we will get going, and if she joins us, we will bring her up also. First, we'll give each candidate 2 minutes to give an opening statement and introduce themselves. We'll do this, just go right down the line, so we'll start with Patty Dillabaugh.
Is it on? Okay. Hi, I'm Patty Dillabaugh. I was born and raised in Crookston all my life. My parents attended school in Crookston. I attended school at Lincoln, and then at Highland Middle School is what it used to be, and then Central High. Graduated in '76. I married my husband, Dwayne Dillabaugh, 41 years ago. We have raised 6 children who have all been through the Crookston school systems. My kids have been pretty successful. We have a business owner, a teacher, a law enforcement, and my youngest who just graduated from law school last month. And I thank the school system for giving them the foundation to further their educations. We also have 7 grandchildren. The oldest one is graduating from UND in the spring, and my youngest starts preschool at Washington. So we still have kids going through the whole system. This is my 3rd time of running. I'm very honored to be up here. Crookston's a wonderful town. We have some fantastic, thank you, we have some fantastic teachers. We have great administration, special need teachers, music teachers, theater teachers, and I'm choosing to run again because I think Crookston provides a wonderful education for our children, and we need to keep our children growing. Thank you much, and I'm asking for your vote.
And next, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Tim Dufault, farm east of Crookston, 4th generation farmer. Graduated from Crookston Public Schools a few years ago. Started in a 1-room schoolhouse. I went to 1st grade at the township school, 3/4 of a mile from our house. And to get there, we had to go down the coulee and up the coulee on the other side. So I can truthfully say when I went to school, I had to walk uphill both ways. So graduated from here, attended the St. Joseph Academy for a few years. I see my former principal, Sister Pat Murphy, out there. And Ray Dusek, too, is another former principal of ours. Graduated UMC and NDSU in agricultural economics. Been farming ever since with my wife Marlene. We raised 3 children, all graduates of the Crookston School District. All got a great and excellent education. They've gone on. They've all graduated college and got graduate degrees, and they've got jobs and great lives started. So I thank the Crookston School District and all the staff for what they've done. I want to keep running for another term. Couple of the priorities, obviously a superintendent we need to replace here in the coming year. That'll set the stage again for a few years for our school district. And then the referendum on the athletic complex is a big issue that we need to tackle. So with that, I'll yield back my time.
And we'll move on next in line.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Mary Ann Isaacs, and no, that is not a familiar name in Crookston. I'm originally from Central Indiana, but you might know me as Jacob's wife or Lucy's mom. And so it is my pleasure to introduce myself as Mary Ann Isaacs, and I am absolutely overjoyed for the opportunity to run for school board. My husband and I moved to Crookston by choice. I told my husband as we sat in the pandemic, I'm okay to leave Indiana, but you have to take me where there is snow. And I can tell you my first winter in Crookston, it delivered. So I apologize. There are ladies in the community who say all that snow and all those blizzards were my fault. But before I became Lucy's mom, I was a public school teacher. I taught secondary social studies. And then I went on to Purdue University. I thought I wanted to be an administrator. And then I decided, well, what is this university supervisor role? So I became a professional in preparing teachers. And so I have worked over 20 years in education. And as my daughter is absolutely in love with Washington School, that is what gave me the seal of telling my husband, yes, you can take that job at UMC. The teachers here are happy. They are smiling. I had over 100 student teachers. I have been in hundreds of schools, and the difference is based on the administration. And what the kids will learn all depends on how happy the teachers are. So I'm here to put my education to use, to serve our community, and I honestly, I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Hi, I'm Mary Gussie. Thank you for having me here tonight. My motivation for serving on the school board is based on the desire to serve my community the best way that I can, so that the students of the Crookston School District receive a top-notch education with access to various educational opportunities and great extracurricular activities. I also believe our school board should have many different voices as part of this conversation, and the decisions that this board makes truly impacts every student and resident in our community. For those of you who may not know me, my husband Jimmy and I moved to Crookston about 8 years ago. He works at AURI here on the north end of town, and we have 2 kids. Our son Aaron is in 8th grade here at the high school, and my daughter Eva is in 6th grade at Highland. I've been a member of the PTO at Washington and at Highland for many years now, and it's really a joy to serve my community in this way and to support the teachers and the school staff in our education system. And I strongly believe that community support of our teachers and staff is essential to making our schools the best that they can be. I currently work as the school secretary at Our Savior's Lutheran School here in town. This will be my 6th year on staff there. Both of the parochial schools in town actually fall under the Crookston School District, and we share many of the services of the Crookston School District. So busing, transportation, special ed services, title services, orchestra band lessons, those types of things. And I think I can offer this unique perspective, having ties with both the public and the private schools in our area. And if elected, I promise to be a fierce advocate for all members of the Crookston community, and that includes students, parents, teachers, and staff, as well as neighbors and business owners and other people in the community, to help our students be successful in the Crookston School District, to be really a magnet for excellence. Thank you.
Thank you for your opening statements. Next, we'll move on to the first question, and we'll follow that same order. Okay, the first question is for Patty. What should the school district do to better prepare students as citizens?
That's a good question. I believe besides the school, it also involves the parents, and I think the family unity is a good place to start. The last couple of years are very important to get them into any kind of citizenship, so they understand what the government's all about. They understand how the world works. And, you know, if you roll them into it as they're in school and slowly learn more about it, I really think that they will become outstanding citizens. I think they'll enjoy life much better, and I think that's the way to go.
Thank you. Tim.
Yeah. Well, one step we've taken.
Sorry, it's going to be a different question. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's going to be a different question for each candidate.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What particular experiences or skills have prepared you to serve as a board member?
Finance side of it, budgeting. Now, school financing is a whole different creature. Any kind of public institution, different pots of money, different funds go different places, can't be spent. But I believe I've helped there. Educational background, I value education an awful lot. I don't think anything good in life doesn't happen without a good education. And so that's why I want to give our children, our students of the school district, the best start that they can have in those first years. Whether they go on to education or not, you got to set the table, and I really have a lot of faith in that.
Thank you. My next question will be for Mary Ann. What are your thoughts on the current budget for the school district?
You give the new girl the budget question. My goodness. Well, what I can tell you of what I do know of the budget, without any numbers sitting in front of me, I have attended 2 of the scheduled school board meetings, and I know that they are working towards funding for 2 major facilities. And so the preschool, in addition at Highland, as well as the sports complex. And how do we raise those funds? As Tim alluded, a lot of that money, it is set in stone how the money comes in. I've spoken with our superintendent to learn how the funding comes to the school, what money is for our students. And so I really think it's a matter of us knowing which students are coming, what is the growth of our community, working with our community as we're growing those buildings, because it is a tax question. I understand that. And so a lot of it, the state will help determine of how that money is used. I don't know if I've answered your question well, because I am the new person here and I do not have access to all of those numbers. So, but I can tell you I have a background in fundraising, college fundraising. It is not my first football field to be built. So I will give you all of that experience that I have.
Thank you. And my last question is for Mary. Is there a particular issue that motivates you to serve on the school board?
So I guess I enjoy serving my community. I've been involved with a number of different organizations, and I really enjoy volunteering and working kind of behind the scenes and in front of the scenes as well, to help out where there's a need. And so I see that, different voices, the school board could use different voices from a variety of different people. I'm excited to lend my voice to the conversation, to give a different perspective. Somebody who has children in the school district right now, both at the high school and at the elementary school. Also, I know I'm not a lifelong Crookston person who's lived here for my whole life, and so hopefully that's just another perspective that I can bring to the table. From living in a variety of different places, again, just helping out where I can. That's where my focus is.
Thanks. And we will start back at the other end. If we can get rid of the hum here. There we go. Mary, what differentiates you from other candidates and or board members?
So, like I had mentioned before in my opening statement, I do work at our Savior's Lutheran School, so it's one of the private schools in our area. I like to say that we use a bunch of the services also from the public school district. And so, again, it's just a different perspective from somebody who works and knows with the staff in another school, as well as having kids in this school district. Again, having another perspective, having more connections in the community from those community members. Along with that position, I have been able to interact with quite a few members of the Crookston School District, and my role as a PTO member, getting to know people from the transportation department, from many teachers and staff, from the food services department, from special ed services and band and orchestra. And I just would like to say, I have a lot of those connections. I'd like to bring that to the table, and hopefully those connections will help to make some of these tough decisions and reach some people who maybe haven't been reached before.
Thank you. Next, what do you see as the major issue or issues facing the Crookston School District?
I would say in the next 12 months, for me, the biggest issue is finding the next superintendent. Leadership is key. It sets the tone for the administrators, for the teachers. It creates safety. Not so much personal safety, but just knowing where the ship is going. And so I think having a solid administrator at the helm is important for the leadership of all of our schools. As a school board member, I think I have the skills to help interview for that person. I am a professional educator. I am a trained administrator. I have sat on numerous boards, some of them public, working through historical preservation for a building, but mostly working on the board for a church camp in Indiana, and having to work through how do you hire people, what are those questions. But I think the biggest thing there is listening and finding the right person who understands our schools. And I'm new, I know that, but I also have very open ears. And I know what quality education looks like. I could have chosen a lot of different places for our child to go to school. I assessed them all, and my husband and I, we chose Crookston. I know what quality education looks like, and we have it. So I want to find the superintendent that fits.
Thank you. Tim, you mentioned the multi-sports facility, and it's been mentioned a couple times. What's your position on the facility, and why should it be supported, or why should it not be?
My position is let's build it. We don't have a facility. It'd be different if we did. Thankfully to UMC, we've been using theirs for almost 20 years now. But they dropped their football program. They're not going to put any more money into the facility. The track needs to be fixed. That's why we haven't had a home track event in Crookston in 4 years. We have to have our home track event in East Grand Forks. That's not right. And we could keep using it if we want to fix their track, but by the time we fix their track, we could put almost $1 million back into our own facility. Having a turf field right out here in the back of the school. The kids could come right out of gym class, run out those doors, and if it's muddy out, if it's wet out, even when we get the January thaw, these kids could be going outside, getting some fresh air, getting some good exercise, and it's safer for the kids than grass. That's a big thing. Football injuries, soccer injuries, softball, we don't like to see that. So let's build this facility. It's what our kids will thrive on, and it'll be there for a long time.
Thank you. And Patty, do you have any concerns about any specific educational areas? If so, what areas? And what would you recommend to improve those areas? If not, which areas do you believe are strengths of the district?
I think that since we started with the FHA chapter, we have really pulled in some strong students because we are an agricultural country, and they will be living here, they will be growing up here, so it's nice to have that background. I personally think, and I have brought it up on occasion or two, that we also need a nursing program or a health program, because nursing care, mental health care right now is something that's so valuable. And we need this in the community. So those would be the two spots that I think would be improving. We've gotten some new teachers who have done wonderful jobs with including some of the state testing, and our scores have gone up, and we appreciate that. I think we still need to work a little harder on some of our math, but up and beyond that, we've done very well with bringing up our scores, and we're ranking a little higher every year. So we do appreciate that. I think we try as much as we can to educate our kids, and we do a great job. We got great teachers, we got great staff support, and I'm very proud of our town. So that would be my ideas.
Thank you all. Now we'll use that same order again, starting with Mary, for each of you to have 1 minute to give a closing statement.
All right, well, thank you so much for having this and inviting us all to speak on these different issues. Again, look at my notes here. Thank you for a great discussion, like I mentioned, with the rest of the candidates. I think, again, if you are willing to vote for me, I will be willing to listen to all of the voices in the community, be a fierce advocate for all of our children, and build up this school district to what I know that it is. And we're, like Patty had mentioned, this is a great school district. We have great schools, our test scores are going up, and I want to continue that. And I want to be part of that process to make our school district even better than it is. And I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
You can go ahead, Marianne.
Thank you. I know Mary Ann Isaacs is a new name for this community. I can tell you in the first year I have done my best to lean in, joining Rotary, learning how our community operates, how it functions, and I am so thankful to be in a place where people are welcoming. For a person who is 1,000 miles away from family, I'm so glad we're here. And this opportunity to serve Crookston, to use my skills as an educator and put those to good use in a community where service is valued, it is important, and that's what I value. I am so glad that we have found a place that matches what we are raising our daughter to be, a good citizen and to serve those around us. So I do appreciate your vote. If I can be of service to the Crookston school community, please vote for Mary Ann Isaacs. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd like to also thank the Chamber for putting on this forum. It's a great service that you do every couple of years to the community. It's a great way for all the different positions that are going to be elected this fall for everybody to really get a look at all the different candidates. So I appreciate that. I want to thank everybody for the 3 terms that I have served on the school board. Looking at one more. Again, my big concerns are hiring a new superintendent. If we can get one that's anywhere near as good as the last one. Dr. Olson was fantastic, one of the best leaders I've ever seen. I hope there's another nugget out there, another diamond in the rough that we can find. And then to pass the facilities referendum, we really need that stadium. And I don't think we did a good enough job telling our story this fall. That's why we lost by 9 votes. But I hope this time we can correct the communication and get it fixed. So thank you.
I chose to run this time. This is my 3rd year. We've had very good terms. We've kept the board financially safe. We've brought it up. We're very proud of what we've done on the board. One of the things that I want to make sure is that we provide our children with a proper education so that they can continue on to move on to being very successful adults, returning to our community, because it's really important that people return to their hometown. We're going to lose a lot of them, but we still want them to stay. One of my goals in the school is that we increase our student enrollment every year. Even if it's only a couple numbers, we keep increasing it. We do what's best for the best interest of all of our kids, and we keep a positive light on our school and how wonderful we are. And I think everybody needs to express that on how Crookston School is one of the best you can find, and we really like to have your students with us. And I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all the candidates. I think we've got a great slate of school board candidates here, so thanks for coming, and please, everyone get out and vote for the school board, for the candidates. I know that KROX would love to talk to you as you're leaving. They're trying to do some things on all the candidates, so thanks, and we will move on to our city council races.
It's always growing season here at United Valley Bank. We're focused on growth for our customers and communities, success for farms and businesses, and improvement for ourselves. Partner with us, and you'll see firsthand just how much the right hometown banking team can change your perspective. Together, there's no limit to the heights we can reach.
United Valley Bank, our roots make us stronger.
Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Harvest is more than the act of reaping what you've sown. It's the culmination of months of hard effort, along with a few weeks of working 24/7 to bring the crop in. At Sesvanderhof, we're continuously working to develop sugar beet varieties that thrive despite the pressures from disease and the challenges of nature, so that you can end each harvest on a high note. Because sharing the pride of success starts with sharing the passion to achieve it. Sesvanderhof, a passion that grows.
Candidates Forum. I'm Don Cavalier. My wife, Mary, and I have resided in Crookston since 1967. First in South Ash, and then we moved to North Ash. I'm running for re-election because I would like to continue to serve the city of Crookston and Ward 4 in accomplishing projects and proposed ideas that are very important to the development of our city. I enjoy being part of this team and making good decisions. As a council member, I have spent a majority of my time serving on the following boards and committees: the Crookston Housing and Economic Development Authority, CHEDA, the Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Crookston Development Partnership, the Polk County Environmental Services Planning Advisory Commission. As a past chairman of the Park Board, City Park Board, I organized a Ward 4 committee that designed 2 surveys, one for the Woods Edition and one for downtown area, which is part of Ward 4. The results of this survey are presently a work in progress. With members of the City Council, I chaired a committee to author and update a new Crookston City Code of Conduct for the City Council and city staff. I worked at the city and the fire department in setting up and managing the Ward 4 Flood Emergency Center, and would like to thank the 50-plus ward residents and others who volunteered to walk the dikes at this important time. I am excited and proud to be a candidate to serve a second term on the Crookston City Council as a representative of Ward 4. It would be a great privilege, and I would do so by listening to concerns of our community members and use common sense with the goal of building a better Crookston, one that thrives economically and maintains that small town feel in our neighborhoods. Crookston is moving forward, and I would like to see this progress continue. Thank you.
And go ahead, Lane. Should be turned on.
Oh, there it goes. There it goes. For those who don't know me, I'm Lane DeVoe. I moved to Crookston 2 years ago with my wife, who works at the University of Minnesota Crookston, and so do I. I work the buildings and grounds. I'm running for city council because I want to bring fresh, new ideas that will help serve this community and become stronger and help it thrive and become more beautiful.
Thank you. And Morgan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Morgan Hibma. First, I'd like to thank the Chamber and everyone that was involved in putting this event together. I'm running for Ward 6 City Council seat, and I wanted to take just a few moments to introduce myself. Unlike most here, I'm not originally from Crookston. I moved here about 7 years ago and live here with my husband, son, and our cute little rescue dog. Even though I may not originally be from Crookston, this town has been extremely welcoming to me and my family, and I'm happy to call it a home that I chose, which has led me to want to run for city council. For the past 13 years, I have worked in marketing and business development in the private sector. I'm currently the marketing manager at Rydell, and I'm someone who likes to think outside of the box and find creative solutions to issues that previously seemed to have no good solution at all. If I'm elected to the Crookston City Council, I believe my past experience will help bring a fresh perspective and ideas on how you can grow and support our local businesses and community members. Over the past couple years, it has been wonderful to see the transparency that has been brought to our city council, along with the support that has been given to our local businesses and organizations. If elected, I will bring my experience in business development to help continue and support what our current city council has started. If elected, I'd like to help continue to grow and revitalize Crookston's downtown area, to see every building full and find ways to support our current businesses. I believe it is important that we focus on making Crookston a place where families want to live and thrive. Moving forward, I plan to help support our younger generation by providing opportunities for them to develop and thrive in our community. If elected, my focus will be to make sure we support our current businesses, promote growth in our business and economy, and encourage an environment that is family-friendly. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And Lynn.
Hello, everybody, and thanks to the Chamber for putting this on. It's much appreciated. My name is Delane Clott. I grew up in a farm and ranch by a small town in western North Dakota. I joined the National Guard in 1989, and I attended Bismarck State College. From there, I went on to work for Menards for 11 and a half years, and ending up in Fargo as an assistant store manager there. Then I moved over to Ferrellgas and worked for them for almost 22 years as a general manager. My family and I moved to Crookston in 2004, where we purchased a house, and we still live here today. I'm married to my wife, Jeannie, for 27 years. Jeannie works at Agrimax as an office manager over in Fisher. I have 3 children, all of whom graduated from Crookston High School. My daughter, Samantha, who is married to Ethan Halst. My daughter, Samantha, is a doctor of nursing practice in Thief River Falls, and Ethan is a crop consultant for Central. My son, Dylan, who is married to Shannon Kaiser, and Dylan works for Farmers Union Insurance is a property risk adjuster, and Shannon is a director of health promotions at Central Valley Health District in Jamestown. And last but not least, my daughter, Mackenzie, she's an associate partner marketing manager for a company called EPAM Systems. I also have 2 grandchildren. Ren, who is the daughter of Dylan and Shannon, and Baylor, who is the son of Samantha and Ethan, and both of them are a little over almost a year old. I was appointed to the city council position after it was vacated almost 3 years ago. I wanted to join the council because I thought I could make much needed changes to the Cheetah organization and some positive changes to the city council, because as you may remember, both were in a state of disarray at the time. Thankfully, with the help of all the current council members, the mayor, and the past and present city administrator, I believe we have turned the corner. Today, I feel our city government is in a good place and finally working together for the residents of Crookston. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Tim.
Thank you. I would also like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and all of you who are supporting this event. I think it's very important for you to hear from the persons that you're choosing to elect for your public offices. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity should you choose to support me in the upcoming election. My name is Tim Menard. I sometimes forget to tell people my name. So I would appreciate your vote for City Council Member at Large on November 8th. I am a proud fourth-generation person from Crookston, and since 2008, I have lived in the most beautiful location in Crookston, at the family homestead at 518 Riverside Avenue. I consider myself a person that is focused on the future. Since returning home to Crookston to care for my mother in 2008, my Crookston and regional community leadership experiences include Director of Counseling Services at the University of Minnesota, from which I retired in 21. I am the current board president of 7 years of the Polk County Developmental Achievement Center. I am the current board member for 4 years of the Glenmore Foundation. I am a current board member of the North Dakota Manitoba District Metropolitan Opera LaFont Audition Competition, which is held at the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks. And I'm a former board member of Scruffy Tails Humane Society. Once again, thank you for this opportunity to reintroduce myself to some of you, and thank you so much.
And Rob.
I'm Rob Silvers. I'm currently the Transportation Program Manager at Tri-Valley Opportunity Council. I also coach American Legion Baseball here in Crookston. And am a youth sports official throughout the area, member of the Eagles and the Crookston Baseball Association. As has been mentioned over the last couple of years, I think we've seen a change in our city council and the way our city is going, and we need to continue that. And I think the best way to do that is through new faces and new ideas. We need people who are proactive, not reactive, kind of a new generation of elected officials. One thing I see Crookston needs a dynamic plan for its future that not only benefits business, but the essential services required by our residents, things that are lacking in our community, such as adequate child care. A plan that doesn't barely maintain our infrastructure, but modernizes it, makes sure that all of our roads in all of our neighborhoods are treated equally, not neglecting some of the neighborhoods. You know, that neglect in the long run will hurt Crookston. It hurts its tax base, driving down home values in those neighborhoods. Crookston will have its 150th birthday since its incorporation coming up in 2029. And I really believe it's time for the city council and the city to move past that old phrase, same old Crookston, to not just hope to survive the next 150 years, but to thrive.
Thank you. So I will do the first questions again, and we'll start with Dawn and move our way down. So Dawn, what steps can be taken to attract new businesses to the community?
What can be done? Well, probably to encourage grants and so forth from Probably by encouraging people to use grants from Cheetah and also the Crookston excuse me, could you repeat that question again? I was kind of
Yes.
monkeying with this.
What steps can be taken to attract new businesses to the community?
Well, we need to fix up the downtown, that's for sure. One of the things downtown committee is working on, and part of that study, trying to figure out what we need in Crookston. As you know, we used to have a lot of bustling downtown with clothing stores and restaurants and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think we just need to reorganize our thoughts about what is Crookston about, and also do some publications and some with the chamber. The chamber is working hard with the downtown committee, trying to recruit new businesses, and it's a pleasure to work with them. They are really moving well, and I'm on that board, and the people on the chamber are really doing well with encouraging new businesses to come to Crookston, and we need that kind of activity. So thank you.
Thank you. Lane, what skills or experiences have prepared you for serving on the city council?
Right now, currently, I'm serving in the Crookston Community Area Fund. I go around and see what the community needs to help. What's in need. Not to disclose my religion, but I used to go knock on doors and try to go and help people one by one. And I would love to hear people's voices on what they need. And I'm just a good listener. Whatever needs to be done, I would go and try and help the people that need it the most.
Thank you. Morgan, how should the city of Crookston be involved with renovations or improvements to the downtown area of the city?
Great question. I think our downtown area definitely needs to have some renovations and be improved. I think a strong downtown helps and builds a strong community. If you look at a lot of other smaller towns in our area who have worked and found businesses to fill their areas, those towns are thriving and those downtown areas are thriving. I think the city council's job is to dig in, look and see which buildings we can help, which ones we can help with renovations, what's the cost, where our budget currently is at, but also how are we gonna fill those buildings? We can renovate all those buildings that we want, but if they're gonna stay empty, what does that do for us? I think it's important that not only are we renovating and looking to find ways there, but what are we gonna do to bring businesses or support local people in our community that want to start their own business? What are we going to do to help them fill those businesses to build those needs that they need?
Thank you. Delane, what are your top 3 priorities for the city?
I think the top 3 priorities for the city is, number 1 is daycare. It's an issue that we've been struggling ever since I've been on the council and even before that. So it's one of the things, if I'm elected again, I want to work along our new community development director and try to figure out some daycare needs. I know a few people in town that are taking their kids out of town for daycare because we just don't have enough opportunity in town here for that. Then after that, it's really not a city council function, but it's our schools. I mean, one of the reasons that I moved to Crookston is because of our school system. And I was very disappointed when our football field never went through it. We missed it by 9 votes, but that's, we talk about things that attract people to our community. One of the big things is schools and daycare. And then the last thing is housing. And as I mentioned earlier, we just hired a brand new director of community development. And then, after visiting with her at length here about a week ago, she is already hitting the ground running. And I think the people at Crookston are going to see some good things from her, and we're going to help her in any way we can. Thanks.
Thank you. Tim, How will you find ways to engage current citizens in the City Hall process?
Essential communication. We have to do outreach to our constituents, and I think keeping people top of mind with reminders of when we meet, what the issues are that we're meeting to talk about. Some invitations perhaps to town hall type meetings, opportunities to meet our constituents for coffee and talk. I think those are some ways. Definitely staying in touch, keeping our fingers on the pulse of what the community needs. So really asking our constituents how it is they want us to communicate with them and what mechanisms we can employ to make the most effective use of those times together. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob, Crookston is competing with many other communities in the region for citizens and workers. How can Crookston differentiate itself from other communities to attract people?
Yeah, I think it's going to take time, to really differentiate itself from where we sit today. But showing a desire to continue improving our city, our infrastructure. The city council currently has taken a great step in that with trying to bring our employees and essential infrastructure up to where they should be to compete with other local communities. Then there's other things to follow up with that. Obviously today we lost a water main in town, so now we're short water potentially for a little while here. Getting those things modernized so that we don't run into these issues, because we're not seeing the other folks running into those issues. Other ways to attract and make sure we find solutions for childcare. We've been talking about this in this community for 6 years, and that's all it's been is talk. There was once $50,000 put aside to do something with childcare, and that money's still sitting there. Nobody has done anything. Got to move past talk. Start with some action.
And we'll go back to Rob. What is the biggest challenge, or what are the biggest challenges facing Crookston the coming year, and what would you do to try to address those challenges?
Well, I think we've just touched on them. We've got the infrastructure, we've got the child care, we've got that feeling. I think that for everybody in the community, like this is going somewhere that they want it to go. Like I said, we've talked about childcare for 5 years. We haven't done anything with it besides talk about it. There has been no proactive steps taken. Occasionally we'll have a meeting, bring in somebody to talk about the shortage of childcare in the country and the region. And then it sits for 6 months or a year, and we go back to the same thing. We got to find a way to start taking action. That's our biggest challenge. Move it out of the council chamber and onto the streets.
Thank you. Tim, affordable housing is an issue throughout the region. What can the city of Crookston do to address the housing issue?
Well, I had the opportunity earlier today to participate in a forum that was sponsored by the Minnesota Housing Program. And the good news is that the city of Crookston is already very well positioned with regards to flexibility with zoning, so opportunities to look at infilling when we're looking at the construction of new houses, the opportunity to be more flexible on the single family versus multiple use property options. So I think having that opportunity to recognize that the city of Crookston has already started a journey toward finding the solutions, and we're bringing the right people to the table who have the expertise that we need to draw on in order to help us with our comprehensive plan and to develop the tools necessary to make the vision for our plan come to reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Delane, the city's facing difficult budget decisions in the next year, like almost every year. What can the city do to manage the effect this will have on taxes for residents and businesses?
Thank you. Unfortunately, the city is a victim of the kick the can down the road mentality for the last several years. It seems like our infrastructure is in a terrible state. Our city staff and their employees are not being paid at a rate that's competitive with other communities our size. So I'm looking at probably this year is going to be a difficult year as far as where the levy dollar is going to be. It's probably going to be higher than a lot of people are used to within our community. But if we're going to be a community that's going to be proud of their city, we have to start fixing our infrastructure, and that's going to come with taxpayer dollars. Unfortunately, it's something that I don't like to do, but it's we've already went to our department heads. If they have cut as much as if they possibly can. I mean, we got a bunch of great department heads, and I think we have to not be afraid to increase our taxes a little bit so we can have a city that we can all be proud of.
Thank you. Morgan, local employers are having difficulty finding enough qualified employees, and there are several factors that seem to be affecting this issue. What can the city of Crookston do to help employers find more workers?
I know this pain all too well as a hiring manager myself. I feel this with every single other person out there trying to hire someone. Something that I look at and work on every single day. I think something that the city council can do is help look at and do market analysis for companies that are looking to hire for what those positions are. What is the correct pay for that? What is being paid not only here but in the communities around us and bigger areas? A lot of people are looking to move to smaller areas, but pay is one of the things. So where should we be at that? Another thing is looking at not only pay. People aren't looking just for pay. They're looking for their surroundings. They're looking for what's in a community. They're looking for what is their environment going to be? What can we offer people to come here and work here? What options, what is good for Crookston? Why bring your family here? Why stay here instead of people moving? It's not just trying to keep people or hire people, but how do we keep the people from leaving? What is the experience that we're giving people, and what's that culture? I think it's the city council and anybody that can help this change is find ways to look at where is it successful. I myself just did a market rate analysis for pay. I went through and looked at all the top companies and jobs across the country, rewrote our job descriptions, rewrote my culture on that end to help bring in and find employees, and it worked. I've seen an uptick on that, and so I think that's one of the things and something that I'm very experienced in that I could help with.
Thank you. Let's see, Lane. What infrastructure or capital projects should be the top priority for the city of Crookston?
I think should better take care of the roads. I know the road going into my neighborhood just got repaved, but some of these roads are like bumpy, and I have to question myself: do I have a flat tire, or is it just the road super bumpy? We can fix up some of the buildings in downtown, but we need to see what buildings need it the most. We need to modernize some of the bridges and some of the traffic signals, some of the neighborhoods, put in some sidewalks in some of these neighborhoods. That'll keep kids safe. They can ride bikes on it so that nobody gets hurt.
Thank you. And Don, what do you believe is the role of city council in our community?
Oh, the role of the city council in our community. I think that the city council should be a team of people working together for the betterment of Crookston. We have that right now, and I think we should keep on moving forward with that kind of activity. The council is not a individual member. We must supervise the administrative officers and formulate policies and exercise the city powers if we're going to be successful. So basically, we need to get together and really and do the planning together and so forth. The council is very important for the city because we make a lot of decisions and a lot of big decisions for the city, as I said before. But really, right now, the team is doing a great job. We communicate well, and we do have a code of conduct that has been rewritten, and all of our team right now is working together to look at that conduct to make sure that we don't override what it says. So basically, I think we're moving forward. We're very successful, and we're excited about the future. And this being on the council for 4 years, I would like to be a city council for another 4 years if possible. So anyway, but the city council is a great group of people right now, and we're working together to move Crookston forward. And we're working with all the directors and all the directors in the city. So, and that's really a good deal because we're communicating, and that's what we have to do to make Crookston move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll start again at the end with Rob. You'll each have 1 minute to give a closing statement.
Well, as I said, my reasons for running, I think we have some work still to do. I think we need some new people to do that. I think I'm one of the people who can help us move there. Not just listen to the concerns, but take action to try to fix those concerns, find the solutions to those concerns, make sure that Ward 4 in particular gets the same treatment as the other wards. We get our streets fixed that haven't been touched in years. We get our sidewalks that are heaving and you trip on constantly fixed, especially for our daycares in the area before a child gets hurt. I want to thank you for having me. Thank you guys for putting this on, and please vote for me for Ward 4 City Council.
Hi, Tim Menard again. And I'll begin by saying friends and family members have asked me why I'm interested in running for city council. And I have to say that I am so very grateful for the support the community gave my family during the flood event of last spring. The response to our need in that crisis was tremendous and has left a profound impression of gratitude on me, and I would like to pay forward by being your at-large city council member. And what you can expect from me is that I'm solution-focused. I will always focus on concerns and ideas you have. I will focus on best practices when advocating for the needs of the city. I will focus on being a champion for fresh ideas and initiatives that foster economic development and retention. And finally, I will focus on being mindful of the diverse needs of our community when making critical decisions. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Hi, thanks. One of the things I'm most proud of, when I joined the council almost 3 years ago, I mean, like I said, it was in a state of disarray, I thought, and we had the issue of cheetah that we had to figure out. And in my time, especially in the last 2 years, we have made great strides to clean some of that up. We had a city administrator that came to town and did a very good job. And then now we have a city administrator who I think is doing an outstanding job moving the city forward. One of the things I heard here tonight by several people on this panel is they think the city is doing a pretty good job here lately, and that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure I was a part of before I left the council. So thank you, and I will continue to do that if I'm elected. Thanks.
Again, I'd like to thank the Chamber for putting this on and KROX for broadcasting it. I'd also like to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to us and taking part in being involved in your community. I'm running for City Council for Ward 6 because I want to give back to my community, and I believe I can do some good for a town that has been so welcoming and supportive to my family and myself. I believe my past experiences will help give fresh perspective and ideas on how we can grow and support our local economy and community members. Crookston's a wonderful place to raise a family, and that's why I've chosen to live here and call Crookston a home. And I'd be greatly honored if I was chosen to help lead this community. Thank you all and have a great evening.
Thanks for the chamber for putting this on. I'm running because I want to, again, be a fresh face and a new voice in the community. But I'm also going to be determined to work what's best for Crookston. I'm going to stay on top of what's best, the issues for this community. And I also want to be dependable in serving you and representing your voice, and not just hearing your voice, but put that voice into action so that we can make the critical changes that are needed to make Crookston a better place and be proud to call home. Thank you.
I would also like to thank the Chamber of Commerce, Mark, and the Crookston High School for holding this meeting tonight. I had a pain in my back for a second there, sorry. I organized a Ward 4 committee that designed 2 surveys, one for the ward and one for the downtown people. And right now, I want to make sure that we're going forward with this because we're going to meet with all the directors and make a plan. And that will help move the city forward. And hopefully, we have the other council members on the council involved also with those decisions that we'll be making in the future. So, right, Delane? Yeah, good, all right. We live in a city, let's work together to make it even a better place to live, work, and play. I would appreciate your vote on November 8th, and thank you all for coming tonight.
And thank you to all our city council candidates. Again, we have candidates here for Ward 4, Ward 6, and an at-large position. So please support whichever candidates you're able to vote on. Thank you again, and we'll move on to the next group. So we'll let you guys go.
You're watching Crookston Pirate Activities on the KROX live stream. It's brought to you in part by Riverview Health, American Crystal Sugar Company, CHS Egg Services, Christian Brothers Ford, Bremer Bank, Grove Mechanical, Crookston Eye Clinic and Foston Eye Clinic, Crookston Valley Co-op, Hugo's Family Marketplace, United Valley Bank, the Benedictine Living Community, Villa St. Vincent, Ottertail Power Company, Crookston School District, Cess Vanderhoff, Andy Omen State Farm, the City of Crookston, and Tri-Valley Head Start, all bringing you Crookston Pirate Activities on the KROX live stream.
We will call up our mayoral candidates. We have 2 candidates for the mayor's position. They're Clayton Briggs and Dale Stainbrook. So if you gentlemen would please come on up, and we will ask you a few questions and move on from there. You have lots of room to choose from, so. So we will start with our opening statements from Clayton, as soon as you're ready.
I'm Clayton Briggs. I'm seeking the mayor's position. I've been born and raised in Crookston, attended school in Crookston, married for 48 years to my wife Mary. I served with the Crookston Police Department for police department for 16 years. During that time as a police officer, I served as a school resource officer for the high school or the school district. 8 years on the city council, serving Ward 3 as their council member, 3 years as vice mayor, and currently employed by the Crookston School District as a bus driver. I'd like to serve as your mayor. Thank you.
And go ahead, Dale.
I would like to thank Chamber for putting this event on tonight, but I'd like to start out, when I was appointed mayor by the council, I came into a very difficult situation. Council was somewhat divided, and I feel that over time, we have mended those discords. Worked with a couple council members. We have a code of conduct that we follow. We also brought in the League of Minnesota to help the council and myself as far as what the role is as being a council member. We've had many changes over the last few years, from city administrator to department heads. We have a new economic development director, and we all want what is best for the city of Crookston and to move our city forward. So I want to say, from going from being a council member to the mayor, there is a learning curve. And being your mayor since February of 2020, the council and our leadership team is in a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be asking the first questions. For Clayton, what is the biggest challenge facing the city of Crookston in the coming year, and how would you try to address this issue?
Right now, it's the budget. We're trying to, excuse me, work on keeping it low, so the taxpayers don't have to pay so much. We're looking at different budgets. We're going through line items, line by line, to make sure that the council is doing the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dale, what are your top 3 priorities for the city?
Well, as has been said before, I think the housing and the daycare issue is our top priorities, and I guess you could say economic development. And it's like a 3-legged stool. They all combine to each other. We need economic development, and we need workforce housing, and we need the workers, but without having the housing piece figured out in the daycare. Right now, I feel we're, with the economy, supply and demand, interest rates are rising. We have some work ahead of us how to fix our housing needs. Kind of usually if the interest rates goes up, the building materials come down, but lately you haven't seen that yet. So, we have a lot of homework to do ahead, but like I've said, the housing and the daycare and economic development, they all go hand in hand.
Thank you. Kind of related to that, Crookston's competing with many other communities in the region for citizens and workers. How can Crookston differentiate itself from other communities to attract people? For Dale.
I think we need to work with the university and even our school district as far as trying to attract citizens and workers. I guess we need to talk to our manufacturings, see what their needs are. I think a big issue we have, not only in our community but others, is with workforce training. What do our manufacturings need as far as to attract quality workers, people who want to work in our community? Do we, what is our downtown? We need to work also with, I think, with our chamber, with our economic development director, just to find out what the needs of our manufacturing sector needs, what their wants are. And like I said earlier, I think the workforce training for the manufacturers come into play a big piece in this.
Thank you. And Clayton, what infrastructure or capital projects should be top priority for the city of Crookston?
Currently, we're in the process of a new campground that funds were received to attract people to Crookston, and improvement to several of the roads, and earlier stated that are in need of repair. And moving on forward to more development in the area, industrial park. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we'll start again with Dale. You'll have 1 minute to give a closing statement.
In closing, I still believe that Crookston is a great place to live, work, and play. And as your mayor, I will continue to support the community from the very young to our seniors, and would appreciate your support and vote on November 8th. Thank you.
As I would like to say that I've been on the council for 8 years, serving 3 years as vice mayor. I feel that I could keep the city moving on and making it a better place to live. And thank you to the Chamber and KROX for putting this on. It's greatly appreciated. And I ask for your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
And thank you to both of our mayoral candidates. We will take a short 5-minute break here before we move on to the Polk County Commissioners candidates. So we'll break for 5 minutes and we'll move on.
Shopping for groceries is easier than ever with Hugo's Family Marketplace. To simplify life, Hugo's offers convenient online shopping with delivery or curbside pickup at GoHugos.com. Even better, shop on the go with the Hugo's Family Marketplace smartphone app. Download e-coupons, recipes, grocery lists, weekly ads, and place your grocery order right from your phone. Save time and save big with Hugo's Family Marketplace, your hometown grocer since 1939.
You're gonna find more low prices, more great stuff when you go to Hugo's.
At Crookston High School, we really have a lot going on.
There isn't that much going on.
Oh yeah? We have softball,
Baseball,
track and field, soccer, swimming, tennis, golf, volleyball,
crap shooting, hockey,
basketball,
wrestling. So we have a lot of sports.
and there is orchestra,
Band,
choir, visual arts,
speech,
theater, Leo Club. And Crookston is one of the highest academic schools in the region.
Really?
Yeah, really, especially in math and science.
I guess we do have a lot going on.
Yeah, and that's why Crookston High School is my education destination.
Welcome to Andy Ullman State Farm. We're located on 423 North Broadway, next to Holiday in Crookston, Minnesota. Third generation agent with State Farm. We've got a team here with over 75 years of experience, 6 of us fully licensed, here to serve you. We know insurance is about a promise, and we're here from the beginning to throughout the whole process to deliver on that promise.
Nobody likes to wait on hold, and neither do we. Give our office a call where a cheerful voice is ready to help you right away. Call 218-281-3643.
The Crookston Eye Clinic is your hometown eye clinic. Whether you have cataracts, glaucoma, macular degeneration, or perfect vision, it is important to have your eyes evaluated to keep them healthy. The Crookston Eye Clinic is open Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., but on Thursdays they open at 9:15 a.m. They also have a second location in Boston to offer you even more appointment options. If you've been wanting to try contact lenses or looking for a new pair of glasses, the doctors at Crookston Eye Clinic are available to see you. Doctors Forget Smith and Jananetta are all accepting new patients. Call 218-281-2020 for the Crookston and Boston Eye Clinic, the best care in sight.
Ever wonder what your city government does for you? They provide police and fire protection, emergency and disaster preparation, building code and zoning enforcement, street repair, cleaning and snow plowing, curbside garbage and recycling collection, plus spring and fall cleanup weeks. They deliver safe drinking water and maintain a wastewater system. They care for 22 parks and provide year-round recreation activities. They give loans for economic development and housing. They do all this and much more with the help of your city employees.
For all of your automotive service needs, call Christian Brothers Ford here in Crookston. We have a service team to handle all of your vehicle's needs. Does your vehicle pull to the right or left? Call and schedule an alignment today. Proper alignment saves gas and wear on your tires. We're here to take care of your vehicle repairs and maintenance. Call Christopher or Jersey in the service department at 281-1338. Make an appointment today with the service department at Christian Brothers Ford of Crookston, where we make it easy.
Crookston Valley Cooperative would like to thank area growers for their patronage this year and wish you all a safe and prosperous harvest. Since 1979, Crookston Valley Cooperative has been your full-service local agronomy dealer, delivering on the products and service that you've come to expect. For all your fall fertilizer needs, stop by or call Sean at 281-1178. Crookston Valley Cooperative, here to keep you growing.
This is my farm.
Don't come out here and tell me what I need.
I need solutions that work and market options that are worth my time.
Small town support that sees the bigger picture.
A global network that empowers us. A co-op that's there for us every day.
This is Judy Hulst, Administrator at Villa St. Vincent in the Summit Apartments. Over the years, we have seized the opportunity to make changes and improve the services we offer. Healthcare has taken on a very distinct evolution, focusing on post-acute short stay and return to home. It is our privilege to continue to serve our community with a continuum of care ranging from assisted living, memory care, post-acute short stay, and extended care. We are so grateful for the support of Crookston and the surrounding communities. In this season of reflection, please know how very proud Villa St. Vincent and the Summit Apartments are to serve our community.
From early morning to the last thing before bed, light powers your day. And every time you turn on a light, it's a chance to save. Choose LED bulbs. You'll use 75% less energy, and because they last so long, you may never have to change them again. Whether it's bright light for the bathroom or a soft, warm touch in the family room, LEDs do it all. See how Otter Tail Power Company can help you save at otpco.com/LED. LED lighting, the smart way to light your life.
Society, winning has come to mean everything. If winning comes at the expense of good sportsmanship, everyone loses. Nothing is gained in the long run. Good sportsmanship is the result of a disciplined effort to respect yourself, your opponents, and contest officials. Remember, good sports are winners no matter the score. This reminder is brought to you by the Minnesota State High School League. You're watching Crookston Pirate Activities on the KROX live stream. It's brought to you in part by Riverview Health, American Crystal Sugar Company, CHS Egg Services, Christian Brothers Ford, Bremer Bank, Grove Mechanical, Crookston Eye Clinic and Foston Eye Clinic, Crookston Valley Co-op, Hugo's Family Marketplace, United Valley Bank, the Benedictine Living Community, Villa St. Vincent, Otter Tail Power Company, Crookston School District, Cess Vanderhoef, Andy Omen State Farm, the City of Crookston, and Tri-Valley Head Start, all bringing you Crookston Pirate Activities on the KROX live stream.
County Commissioner candidates. So our candidates are from District 2, Curtis Knudsen and Warren Strandell. District 4, Dennis Boucher. Joan Lee, who is running against him, is not available to come tonight. She had a pre-existing conflict. And then we have Mark Holey from District 5. So we'll let them settle for a minute, and then as soon as they're ready, we'll start with opening statements from Curtis.
Well, thank you very much for the invite, and thanks, KROX, for airing this tonight. I'm Kurt Knudsen. I was born and raised in Fisher, Minnesota. I live in the same house that I was raised in. When I was 18 years old, I must have been a bad kid because my mother moved out. She moved to town, so I stayed there. My wife is Kim. We have 4 grown children and 14 grandchildren. Almost all of them living in District 2 of Polk County. Sunday nights we get together for a meal. There's 24 of us that sit down for a meal, and the oldest grandchild is 12, so it gets rather noisy. We farm about 5,000 acres south of Fisher in District 2. With my brother and my son-in-law, we raise sugar beets, soybeans, wheat, and some cattle. So I've been doing that since I was 18 years old. As far as why I would desire to run for this office, I've always had a desire to participate in the community in different boards and different levels of government, and so in my past experience is kind of a wide range. I was a Rome Township board member for 2 terms, Fisher School Board member for 16 and a half years, served on the Minnesota Barley Council, West Polk County Crop Improvement. I've also spent 20 years serving on the Sheriff's Mounted Posse, which gives me kind of a unique insight into law enforcement, that side of it. Most recently, I served 12 years. There's term limits on the Crystal Board, and I served on American Crystal Sugars Board for 12 years. 5 years of that as chairman of the Ag Committee, 2 years as chairman of the Ops Committee, 2 years as vice chairman of the board, and 2 years as chairman of the board. And while I was there, I served as chairman of United Sugars and chairman of MAC, which is the byproduct distribution company for American Crystal. I think that's qualifies me to be schooled in governance and leadership, and therefore I seek another spot in that regard. Thank you.
And thank you, Kurt. Warren.
Yes, is this on?
No, there's no button. Try the other. Now the first one's on.
Okay, yeah, Warren Strandell. I grew up in Warren, Minnesota, and from there went off to military, and then off to school, and then back to military, and then off to Interstate Business College in Fargo for a year. And about that time, that next summer, my National Guard unit was recalled to active duty, so we spent a year in Port Riley, Kansas. And after that, I got back into the newspaper business. My next door neighbor in Warren was Neil Matson, and when I came home from school one summer, he said, "What are you doing this summer?" And I said, "I don't have anything lined up yet." He said, "Why don't you come and work for us?" Started a 30-year career in newspaper journalism, including 2 years in the Warren Chief. I had 2 years at the Austin Daily Herald in southern Minnesota, 4 years at Albert Lee Tribune, next door, also in southern Minnesota, and then 10 years at the Grand Forks Herald. And from there, I ended up into doing my own business, Strandell News Services for a while, and was elected to the county board and spent 28 years on the board. Now I'm looking for one more term to try to finish some last-minute business, mainly with budget stuff, and I just would ask you to give me that privilege.
Thank you. And Dennis.
I guess it start. Did it start? Okay. I'm Dennis Boucher from McIntosh, Minnesota. I've been married to my wife for 55 years. She might not admit to that, but that's the way it goes. I was born in South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and my parents moved back here in the 50s, dairy farming and such, and then after went to high school, got drafted, went to the Army, come back, got married to my wife. We moved on her grandparents' place in McIntosh, Minnesota, and that's where we've been. And I was been doing, for the last number of years, I was trucking for 27 years, give up that bad habit and went to work for a large corporation where I ran heavy equipment, where I've been building roads since, like, say, 1977, and still doing it to this day. And that's about all I've got.
All right, thank you. And Mark.
Good evening. My name is Mark Holy. Currently District 5 Commissioner. From rural East Grand Forks up in Northland Township. Born and raised East Grand Forks. Attended East Grand Forks High School, graduated in '75, went on to college, ended up with a degree in business aviation, ran my own aerial application business for, I think, 22 years, and ended up coming back to the family farm when my dad retired in 2003. Was involved in politics in East Grand Forks right after the flood, helped the city of East Grand Forks for 8 years rebuild after that flood of '97. Learned a lot of interagency workings, so forth and so on, and always found an interest in helping citizens, helping them understand the procedures and policies that our government have and how to navigate and to operate in that minefield that sometimes people feel the government is too oppressive when really it's not. It's just the education of how to work in it. I like to help people and make their life better. Little bit on personal level. Like I said, I was married to my wife. We have 3 growing boys. They're scattered all over the Minnesota, Arizona, and North Dakota, so we get to see them quite a bit, but the one in Arizona, not so much. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go back to Curtis for the first question. What do you see as the most pressing needs for infrastructure or capital projects in the county?
Well, out where I live, of course, it's road and bridges and roads like County 60, they've been addressed and asked to be improved several times, is certainly one of them. But there's a variety of them, and it depends on which stage of life you're in and where you live in the county, what your priority is. And so it's a matter of compiling those statements and talking to people and seeing which is most important to them, I think, before you make some of those decisions. And of course, the budget dictates what you can and can't do. There's 2 bridges across the Red River in District 2, and both of them are in need of repair. And my understanding is that in 23, 24, the Climax Bridge may be replaced, but the Neilsville Bridge has been out of commission since 2015, and that one lacks funding more so than the Climax Bridge. So where I live, it's infrastructure is mostly roads and bridges. Thank you.
Thank you. Warren, if new resources were available, what one area of county services would you feel most needs additional resources?
Ask Sheriff Jim Tadman. He's trying to replace some people who have left, mainly because of better money in other places. So the resources would be money in that case. And like Kurt just talked, we have the bridge scheduled for Climax that could start next fall and carry into 2015. 24, but that one is pretty much in place. Rich Sanders has done a very good job arranging financing for that, and he's working hard also to get some financing for Neelsville. There's a little conflict we have with Trail County of North Dakota. They don't seem to have any love for the Neelsville site, and Rich is kind of going around the horses there to go right to the federal sources, try to get some funding for that, and also to state level. But that would be the areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Dennis, county commissioners spend a lot of time serving on other boards or meeting with other governmental entities. Tell us about your experience serving on other boards or committees.
Okay, well, years back I was on the school board and for Winnemac over there. That was a long drawn 9 years of getting that school built. Plus I'm on the township board. That can get, these guys know what it's all about. It's hard to get stuff done at times, and I feel really good about what we've accomplished there. We're fiscally really sitting well right now. Plus, we got all the roads done that we wanted to get done. We got all the culverts we wanted to get done. This spring flood really showed it paid off. We got a large dairy and a large hog operation to the east of me. And there's many, many, many trucks that go through there, milk trucks, fuel trucks, feed trucks. It's on and on and on. And that road was a total mess. And so I kind of pushed, and I got good contacts with a friend of mine that worked at the trail pit over there, and we drummed up some concoctions for Class 5, and we made those roads as hard as a blacktop. And this spring really proved that it worked out well.
Thank you. Mark, how would you determine your budget priorities for the county?
I think the budget priorities, one is budget. With inflation, it's really gotten to be a quagmire of expenses that are zooming up. Tires for out at the Polk County landfill have almost tripled in price, and fuel for snow removal during the winter has gone up dramatically. And how do you budget for those type of things, inflationary items, and still deal with salaries and trying to hold taxes down? And I think we're getting close to nailing the 23 budget down, but it's gonna be a little bit of a hurtful thing. Fortunately, we're somewhat removed being where we're at in the geographical U.S. because we don't see the big cyclical ups and downs of the economy. We're pretty flatline, but we do pay the price of the inflationary thing, and fortunately, unfortunately, assessed home values and land values have increased. But that also brings another set of issues when those start to go down and for budget. But budget. It's going to be, I heard city council candidates talking budget. I'm sure we'll hear Ms. Keel talking state budget. It's every place you look at today, it's budget. How are we going to make these things work out? So with the inflationary thing.
Thank you.
Mark, again, what can the county do to help attract business and industry to the county?
When I first became a commissioner, I was somewhat surprised that Polk County doesn't have some type of, if you want to call it, economic development group. But yet, when I look at City of East Grand Forks, Crookston, Boston, all of the towns are kind of doing their own thing, if you would. I know for a fact there's a lot of small businesses in rural Minnesota, in the rural county, that probably could use some help. We've been very blessed in Polk County to get some AARP funds from COVID, and also economic dollars that have been applied for and will be given out. Other than tax relief or that kind of thing, the county is pretty much limited on what we can do. I would like to see the county possibly explore that for business development, because sometimes businesses, it's the mom and pop garage out on a farm someplace or in a rural setting that ends up having 1 or 2 employees that turns into 15. That's how a lot of small businesses start. They don't start with a big 36,000 square foot facility and 110 employees. It's the mom and pop businesses that start. And I think that is something that the county needs to look at in the future as far as a county economic development.
Thank you. Dennis, what are the top 3 priorities for Polk County right now?
Oh, that's a loaded question. The big thing right now is infrastructure. You gotta maintain your. I'm a road guy, so that's kind of the avenue I go to. I see where there's a lot of need for that being done, and some of these townships do need some help to get on board. The tractors are getting bigger, the trucks are getting bigger, there's getting more traffic, there's getting to be heavier, and if we don't take care of this, we're going to end up in a general disaster is what we are with time. When the roads are dry right now and all that there, not a problem. But when you start getting wet conditions and getting mud and early spring or whatever, frost heaves are my passion. I just go after them and I fix them. They're not easy, but you can get them done. So you said top 3? Yes. Like he was saying here, it gets some economic development stuff, and I think myself too. I was thinking about this today. We need to get somehow implemented with a college like Northland or somebody for safety on the farm. There's been grain bin accidents, not so much around this area, but there has been, and we got to get these workers trained, like we have to do in our business, and it saves lives. So, I guess I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Warren, you mentioned budgeting in your opening statement. Several others have talked about budgets. What budget challenges will the county face in '23?
There are several. One of them has to do with the Tri-County Corrections operation. Polk County is 88% of that, along with Red Lake County has got a little bit and Norman some, but everything involved there really comes back to Polk. In our case, for next year, we're looking at about a $400,000 shortfall. That's been brought on by a combination of mainly COVID and inflation and such. And we had to shut down one pod in the jail and that really cost us because we have been earning about $100,000 a month in our most years up until this COVID problem. And that was more than paying for the debt service on the $17.5 million bond that we sold in 2006 to build the jail. And but now we had to shut that pod down. That meant that basically our jail we were housing our local prisoners and not bringing in the ones from other jurisdictions that were paying the per diem rates that were running that up to that $1.2 million a year in debt service that we were taking from there. And the juvenile center has been shut down now for over a year too because of roof problem there that came during, we were re-roofing and we ended up having to rebuild the entire system. So we're trying to get the HVAC equipment on site to finish the remodeling or the restoration of that facility, and that we just got word this week now that's been delayed another 2 weeks. So it'll probably be January before we can get that back in operation.
Thank you. And Kurt, What do you believe is the biggest challenge facing the Polk County Commission during the next year?
Well, I'm unfamiliar with what they've talked about I'm unfamiliar with what they've talked about in the boardroom in the last 3 or 4 years. But certainly, I would leave that to knowing that a lot of the stuff they do is mandated by the state and mandated by federal government. And what's left that they can be changed and rearranged and reevaluated, it'd be what I needed to learn going into the future. And I would take the next month or so to get more acquainted with that type of a thing. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll start back at the end with Mark. You have 1 minute to give a closing statement.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Chamber and KROX for putting this event on again. It was an enjoyable experience 2 years ago tonight and 2 more years when I have to run again. Yeah. I just, for those people who are my constituents, I would just ask you to vote for me. I appreciate it. I love being your representative on the county commission. I enjoy helping people, being there for them, and working with fellow county commissions. My grandpa once told me, and my wife accuses me of being a good debater, but my grandpa on his deathbed told me, Mark, remember something. I never learned anything from somebody who always agreed with me. And there's a lot of truth in that. And this came from a man who didn't say much to a younger boy, but I enjoy a good debate as long as the debate is civil and we can get done at the end of the conversation and talk about family or football or what have it. It makes for a better day, and sometimes we can learn from somebody who is opposed to our opinions. So please get out and vote. The future of our country is in our hands, and our state and the county. Thank you.
Dennis, you can go ahead.
How can I top that? Anyway, yeah, I agree with him, and my take on all of this is I like to go and converse with people, and especially with the individuals around it. I've done that, a lot of that this summer, going from farm to farm, talking to different people and their concerns, and I also like to stop and talk to, not for very long, the workers, the Polk County workers. I'm a sucker for that. I like to listen to what they've got to say, their concerns, what they got going on, if they say they need some changes maybe, or if whatever's going through their mind, which I think is a big help. When I was on the school board years and years ago, I used to go into the school and talk to the teachers one-on-one, and I'd talk to the janitors, bus drivers, whatever, it didn't matter. I still think everybody needs an equal voice in what is happening around their world.
Thank you. Warren, your closing statement?
I've been around for a while now, and this one is my last run, regardless. But I started interest in county government and local government way back when I was as a reporter, an editor, a publisher, and a newspaper owner. I just constantly looked at other groups, other boards, commissions, whatever, as they dealt with the different subjects, and watched how they did it and tried to learn about how things could get done. I learned about valuations and about tax rolls and all kinds of things like that. So I've been waiting for this job for a long time, and now I've had it for a long time. I want one more shot at cleaning up some budget items that are still on the board.
Warren, you're an institution and well-loved in East Grand Forks and a tough opponent to take on, I will tell you that. But I think I bring a unique set of skills to the job that my past experience has given me. I would love to serve the constituents of the 2nd District of Polk County, and sometimes change is good, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you to all 4 of you for joining us today. Again, we've got Kurt and Warren running for District lost my District 2. In District 4, Dennis is running against Joan Lee, who could not join us tonight, and Mark Holy in this. And thank you all for joining us. And we're moving along very quickly here, so we only have a couple of more spots to go. We will, as soon as these gentlemen are done, we will bring up our candidates for the Minnesota State House of Representatives, District 1B. And those candidates are Deborah Keel and Cynthia Ansbacher. The longest name is filled up this. Cynthia's. What's that? Your name kind of filled all the way out to the edge. So we will start with an opening statement from each of you, 2 minutes, and then move on from there. And we'll start with Deborah.
Well, good evening, and I thank everybody for participating. It was moved rapidly, but it's good to be here. Yes, I am in my 6th term and looking to run again for a 7th term. I am, if anyone doesn't know, but I'm thinking they all know that I'm a farmer south of Crookston. Do very little farming anymore because our son is taking over, and I'm back to being a gopher, which is just fine with me when I'm around. In the legislature, I have served in agriculture committee, but also quite a bit of time in health and human services now, as I have been there a while. This last year, I was honored to work with Representative Gene Pulowski as his lead, Republican lead. He is the DFL, he's a college professor that we worked on things like internet activity, and then also in job performance. So I'm thrilled to be here. I really thank the Chamber and the KROX for offering this, and look forward to our conversation. I'm proud to be a part of District 1B, and maybe we should talk about the line really quick. We are now going to be all of Red Lake County, all of Polk County, all of Norman County, and 3 townships in Clay County, which will be Felton, Hagen, and Ullin townships in Clay County. So when we were redistricted, all of those areas expanded. So I thank you very much.
And Cynthia.
Yes, I'm Cindy Ansbacher. I running again this year. I ran in 2020 also for House District 1B. I am running as a Democratic Farmers Labor candidate, endorsed candidate. I live in Crookston. I have a wonderful son who's 27 years old, and he is a little bit of a transplant because I moved here in 2006. He joined me in 2020, and he is a student now at UMC. And I'm very proud of bringing someone like that in because he's also been interning all last year or all this summer and this fall, working closely in a field that he loves, and he's really getting to know the farmers out there. I'm a retired nurse. I work now in a group home in Crookston, Minnesota, a field that I love. Because of my experience as a retired nurse and that I have a bachelor's degree in nursing, healthcare is certainly an area I feel comfortable in, feel comfortable working in as a legislator. And hopefully, if I'm elected, I can help bring forth universal healthcare for all, just expand it so people who need it aren't left out. That's it.
Thank you. I'll go back to Deborah for the first question. How can the legislature help solve the childcare shortage issue for the state, especially in outstate Minnesota?
It's been the theme of the conversation today, hasn't it? Childcare is a big problem. The state of Minnesota has put money into programs for childcare. And part of the problem is we need people. We need workers. The University of Minnesota has a program for childcare, so that helps. It is hard because it's not a high pay job, and of course families are already stretched by the financial challenges of today. So it would be hard to require people to pay more for childcare. I know that there's been discussions here. There's a new idea over in Foston. Businesses got together. DigiKey has tried to work out some things for their employees because their employment is at different times, like a nurse would be, or those types of things. So to provide that for our workers, that is a challenge. Infant care is hugely a problem. And with the funding and the discussion, the real honest truth is we have too many regulations. In our urgency to protect the children and the safety, we now have I mean, if you saw the requirement for a child care provider to put together, it's unbelievable. It takes a legal document to discern everything that has to happen when you are running a child care program. So I would like to see some of that regulation calm down, but the other thing is that we've lost a lot of child care providers that were in their homes, and so now we look to more centers that would provide that. So I know that there's been some work on it, but I think it was Rob that pointed out it's moving slowly, and it has got a lot of challenges.
Thank you. Cynthia, is crime an issue in Northwest Minnesota? And if so, what can the legislature do to combat the issue?
What kind of legislation to combat the issue? I don't know that crime is, actually I feel very safe in Crookston. I will tell you that. I know we have crime, and we have, I value our police force in Crookston. Unfortunately, I don't personally know about the other towns. I know there's problems with, drugs, meth is a big one. And just, I can't say everyday crimes, but domestic violence, which I wish never happened, but it happens, and we need our forces to protect the ones who are being affected by domestic violence. And as a retired nurse, I see things as being preventive versus like you did it, now you're in jail. I mean, obviously people need to have consequences for their actions. But if we as society reach out through various groups that we have, the social services department, people who can work with people who are stressed because of social factors, economic factors, child care factors, have no place to put their kids. Those things, if we can stick with them and recognize that there are issues out there for people that if we, as City of Crookston or the other areas, are more proactive about, I think we would continue to see not just a less crime, but a more fulfilled community, a community that feels more proud about itself.
Thank you. And we'll go back to Cynthia again. What is the biggest priority for the Minnesota State Legislature in 2023?
Tried to write an answer. The biggest priority for the Minnesota legislator in 2023, I didn't write anything down. Well, I may be wrong, but I think in 2022, not all of the bonding bill got passed, and a lot of projects got left behind. And I think jumping back in, the legislator should address that, hopefully. Now, I said I may be wrong because I was trying to research if towards the end it did get passed. I couldn't find that. All I saw was that that they went as far as they could. I understand. Now, Deb, you would know more, obviously. But in addition to making sure the bonding bill, future bonding bill gets passed, I would say address the budget. We have a budget surplus that's separate from the bonding bill. And the things that I was looking at for what to do with that surplus would be to maybe alleviate some of the pains that people are feeling economically. We were talking about small towns. How can a small town benefit from, I would like to see them benefit from that surplus. But we can also look at, tax cuts. Democrats saying tax cuts, but people, especially people on the lower end of the their earnings, definitely need tax relief. So, is that it? Thank you.
Thank you. Cynthia mentioned the budget surplus. There was a large budget surplus last year. It didn't all get used up or allocated. What should the legislature do with that surplus this year?
Well, something that we tried to pass without extra bills on it, but the tax cut that we talked about was about 3.9 that we would have spent, 3.9 million that we would have spent to do tax relief. Billion. However, unfortunately, the tax bill had other things attached to it, new programming, which is why it probably didn't get passed. And of course, that was a little bit damaging to communities because of the funds that they would also have received. And that was a bit of a challenge. And that's something that I believe that we'll address. What do we do with all that money? It goes fast. It seems like a lot, but there's a lot of discussion. I think first we need to be reviewing what we need. Yes, the capital project bill did not get passed. I think we need to look at infrastructure. Every small community in this district, which is huge, we're a blend of a lot of small communities, really need help to be able to take care of their sewage, their water, their road infrastructure, and that is something that Minnesota as a state is required to do. And so I think that is certainly a high priority with the funds that we have. I would like to see us be careful about it, but doing tax cuts are really important, not just Social Security. We are one of the very few states that taxes Social Security, but other taxes that we can reduce to help our citizens, especially in this economic tight frame that is there, that we're experiencing now, so that we can have some conversation about that. I'd like to actually see us look at that budget and make some decisions early in the legislature. January, February, we'd wait for the budget to come out at the end of February, and then we end up with a May scramble. I just think that's very unhealthy for us, the state, our school districts. I remember being frustrated as a school board member that we were waiting for numbers when we had to have our budget done and the state did not. So it makes it really difficult to work in that situation. So I'm really, should I be back in St. Paul, that would be my push, is that we direct things in January, February, we're ready to go, have those conversations so that the discussion about the surplus, the capital projects, many other things that need to be done. So.
Thank you. And then we'll go back to Cynthia. You have 1 minute for your closing statement.
I want to thank CAROX. Thank you. I want to thank CAROX for putting this out in the world, and I hope they're doing better with their website. I've been monitoring their website daily, and I love CAROX. And also thank you at the Chamber for putting up with me showing up every day talking about my condition. I love Crookston. Actually, I love this whole area. I love rural Minnesota, and I just love how peaceful I feel when I'm here. And that's the kind of thing I want to pass on to my constituents. Security with employment, security with health, security with education, good education. And please vote for me November 8th, Cynthia Ansbacher. Thank you.
Thank you. And Deborah, your closing statement.
Well, once again, I thank you all for either out in the audience or everyone who's attended. Thank you very much to CAROX and the Crookston Chamber for doing this. You know, things that we need to do that are really important. Number one is to make sure that the state of Minnesota is safe. While we don't see as much high crime here as I see in the cities and have not experienced, thank goodness, we need to make sure that our law enforcement has what it needs so that at a county level, at a city level, or a state level, that we have the resources. And then I think that will help us in other ways, whether it's mental health or drug abuse and those kinds of things that are unfortunately wreaking havoc with our citizens needs to be addressed. There are making sure that we have budget bills, bonding bills, and bills that are singular and not huge omnibus bills that we take forever to figure out what actually was in it. That, to me, has always been bothersome. So I will push my leadership to make sure that we have conversations and bills that are more directed toward one subject. Thank you very much.
And thank you to both our candidates for House District 1B. And next, we're running a little early, and Mark Johnson had contacted me late this afternoon. I told him between 8 and 8:15, so he's not quite here yet. So we'll take a break for a couple minutes and let Mark get here, and we'll finish up with Mark Johnson, who's running for the House Senate, or the State Senate in District 1.
It's always growing season here at United Valley Bank. We're focused on growth for our customers and communities, success for farms and businesses, and improvement for ourselves. Partner with us, and you'll see firsthand just how much the right hometown banking team can change your perspective. Together, there's no limit to the heights we can reach.
United Valley Bank, our roots make us stronger.
Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Harvest is more than the act of reaping what you've sown. It's the culmination of months of hard effort, along with a few weeks of working 24/7 to bring the crop in. At Sesvanderhof, we're continuously working to develop sugar beet varieties that thrive despite the pressures from disease and the challenges of nature, so that you can end each harvest on a high note. Because sharing the pride of success starts with sharing the passion to achieve it. Sesvanderhof, a passion that grows.
Tri-Valley Head Start Child and Family Programs offers child-centered, family-focused services in a community-based setting. The program provides health, nutrition, dental, mental health, family services, and parent engagement opportunities. Available for income-eligible children birth to 5 years old, as well as children with special needs, at-risk children, and families and pregnant women. Tri-Valley Head Start Child and Family Programs has centers in East Grand Forks, Grafton, Ada, and Crookston. For more information, visit tvoc.org.
Exceptional people, exceptional care.
Riverview Health is pleased to welcome Dr. Vanita Parikh to their team. Dr. Parikh is an experienced interventional pain management physician specializing in effective treatment options to increase functionality and comfort for daily living. For appointments, call Riverview Clinic at 218-281-9595. Dr. Parikh is seeing patients in both the Crookston and East Grand Forks clinics.
Riverview Health.
With the fall season.
Last candidate here. We have Mark Johnson, current senator from District 1 and running unopposed in the district. So we'll start with an opening statement, a couple minutes opening statement.
Well, thank you, Mark. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. It's always fun to come back home here to Crookston. I grew up just outside over in Maple Lake area. And now back here, living in East Grand Forks with my wife Skylar and our 3 kids, school-age kids over there. So thank you for the opportunity to come here and talk a little bit about the campaign that's currently running, and also what we kind of see going forward here in the next session as well. So it's been just an honor serving Senate District 1 over the last 6 years. 2016. I was elected, came into office in 2017. We've had so many changes across the state. If you can remember, 2017 seems like a lifetime ago at this point. Gas prices were cheap, and our big concerns were not as health related as they are now, with COVID and all those things that happened in between here and then. But in the meantime, I worked my way up through leadership, and now currently second in command over in the Minnesota Senate, as we can have the majority over there. Also part of the redistricting process. So if your district, I see there's a lot of elected officials here tonight. If your district was changed, I had a hand one way or another in that, so I apologize, but it has to be done due to the Constitution. So it really was a fascinating process to get that done as well. But all in an effort to serve this state in a way that we have an equal representation and your vote is counted fairly. I think we saw over the years a lot of concern about votes and who's voting and what's going on, and a lot of awareness there. And it's good to know that I had a part in making sure that election fairness was part of the process. So now I'm back in 2022 here running what will be the third term once November is over. Which is just amazing, because in the Minnesota Senate, I'm one of the older folks there now after just 6 years, so which is kind of funny to think about. But we have a lot on the agenda. We've got a $9.25 billion surplus going into this year. We'll see what the economy looks like and how we prioritize that. One of the things when going around this district that I hear a lot about is infrastructure. Roads, bridges, city streets, water, wastewater. Those are some huge expenses, but something that our communities need. The other thing that we want to make sure that we prioritize is workforce. Number one, how do we get workforce here? How do we keep them here? And I think there's a couple of key things there. Housing. As you see in Crookston and all the communities in my district and a lot of rural areas, housing is a big thing. If you find the worker, how do you keep them and find them a house? And if you can find them a house, how do you find childcare for their kids when they come here too. Those are some of the things that are really holding back rural Minnesota, and we've been working very, very hard in finding solutions for that, because we need those things. We need them so desperately. We've got employers like DigiKey and Articat and Polaris, but we also have small mom and pop shops that are always desperate for one or two people to come and help. We need to be able to open up the economy to get those people here, and we have just such potential here, as you know, at the Chamber. I mean, if we can figure out those keys, rural Minnesota is going to explode, and I am so optimistic and hopeful that we can help do our part in the Minnesota State Legislature to make sure that rural Minnesota prospers. So, long beginning, but I am just so excited about what's coming down the pipe, so I just want to get that out.
Thank you. And then I'll have your first question for you. You talked a little bit about housing. What can the legislature do to help outstate areas like this region with affordable housing shortages?
Yeah, and when I'm going around the district, affordable housing isn't necessarily spoken of. It's more housing. Workforce housing is probably the biggest term that's spread around. Is, look, if we have affordable housing, like the programs have some subsidized housing and things like that, as soon as you have a job, then you don't qualify anymore for a lot of the entry-level housing. So if you get a job at Polaris or Articat as a welder, and you go in and you apply for subsidized housing, well, you're not eligible for that anymore because your income level is too high. So what we're looking for is programs or things that would help rural Minnesota build and develop those workforce housing. Now, we have an issue here that they don't have down in the cities, which is typical. I mean, just there's a difference between the two, of course. But where they can throw up an apartment building or a housing development and have 40, 50 people on a house on a waiting list, or an apartment. They said their waiting lists are almost 150 people deep for apartment buildings. Well, here, they don't have that list, that wait list. Yes, they have some, but it's not enough to give developers, they have so much risk that they're carrying. So we're trying to figure out what that gap is between what the acceptable risk is for developers and home builders and what we can help with so that it encourages those houses to be built. There's been a number of programs. War Road, Roseau are working on some. Crookston, through Tri-County has done some development here too as well. And I think we're just going to keep looking at different programs. We've got a couple of really good ideas with tax incentives that we're going to be looking at next year, but absolutely, that's one of the just key things for our area.
What do you consider the capital projects that should be top priorities for the legislature next year?
Well, yeah, there's a couple of different things. I think number one, we have right here in this district, well, just not too far down the road, we've got the Climax Bridge. And I know that we have some plans here in Polk County to get that done. And I think Rich Sanders is working on that and some others. That's one that's been constantly talked about, that it just either our side or the North Dakota side, depending on which year it was having trouble with some funding. But I think that's been taken care of now, so if we can get that done. Really excited about that happening. The other thing, there's some water projects in the district as well. There's a rural water based out of Halstead, a group there that wants to get water across for our communities from Halstead, Shevlin to Neilsville, all those different small areas going up to Crookston and some others that are some really just basic needs, because it's hard for our cities to have a water processing plant to make sure it's potable water for it's very expensive, but if we can get together on some of those projects, I think it'd be really cost savings, number one, and then we'd have high quality water that we're sure of for our cities. So I think that's another one. Statewide, I mean, you cannot put enough money into, number one, wastewater, and number two, roads and bridges. I mean, the requests that are coming in for those two items are just jaw-dropping. And so we can't, of course, take that all one. Even with $9.25 billion, that's a drip in the bucket for what we really need. So we got to have a good program going forward that will make sure that we systematically get done with what's high need and work our way down the list. So I think, that's one of the priorities that we're having. We're working with some dedicated tax funding to do that. as a way of giving a base to what we're going to be able to do with infrastructure. And I think that's a good way of beginning. So, absolutely.
Thank you. And then you'll have 1 minute to give your closing statement.
No wonder why you guys went so fast. I can see. This is wonderful. So first of all, I want to thank you, both of you, and the Chamber for the opportunity to be here today. This was really fun to be back down in Crookston. 2020 election and the 23 session coming up after Christmas are going to be some really critical things for our state. Number one, the election is going to be very critical because it's going to determine the direction of our state with the governor, with the attorney general, with the secretary of state, with the auditor. Those are some very high level positions that direct the strategic outlook of the state. And I think with the legislature, once we're in there, hopefully with the majority, really to help guide us going forward. What's nice about rural Minnesota legislators is that we bring that voice down to St. Paul. I'm so excited to be the spokesman for our area and have a strong voice, be in leadership to really guide what happens in our state and in the corner offices to help represent our needs going forward. So just really encourage folks to get out and vote. It's such an important, it's a midterm, so usually the voter turnout's a little bit lower, but with the things that are on the line going forward, this is so critical. So I just encourage you to get out and vote. Early voting is going on presently, but also election day for most of us here in Crookston and East Grand Forks and some of the larger cities. Same day voting will be available too. So get out and vote, and I'd appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Mark. As Mark said, Election Day is November 8th. Absentee ballots have been out for a couple of weeks now. You can return those by mail or in person to the proper election office that send it out to you by 3 p.m. on Election Day. And in Crookston, that's here at the Polk County Director of Property Records. I want to thank all the candidates that came and talked to us tonight. I want to thank Crookston High School for being our host this evening. Thanks to the City of Crookston for helping us get this event put together. Thanks, of course, to KROX Radio for the live streaming of the event, making it available to people until the election so people can get a chance to at least meet their candidates. Thanks to everyone who came here in person or watching on the live stream. And make sure you get out and vote. Good night, everyone.